Hello, good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Charlie State and Louise Minchin.
Our headlines today: back me or risk a Labour government. Those the words of Theresa May, a warning to Brexiteers after two high-profile ministers resign over her Brexit plan. Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson quit, claiming the Brexit dream is dying. He'll be replaced by Jeremy Hunt at a meeting of the New Look cabinet later this morning.
The end game in Thailand. The operation begins to rescue the last 4 boys trapped deep in a flooded cave.
And with our population set to hit nearly 80 million in 30 years' time, will we have the roads, the rails, the energy supplies to cope? Big targets announced today. I'll see if they can be met.
It is women's quarter-finals day here at Wimbledon, and with all of the top 10 women's seeds knocked out, Serena Williams is on course for an incredible comeback.
And yesterday it was very hot here. The temperature reached 30.7 Celsius. Today it'll be cooler. In fact, it's going to be cooler for much of the UK with a fair bit of cloud, but still some sunny spells. But we'll have more later.
Hello, good morning, watching Breakfast. It's Tuesday, the 10th of July. I'll have a full news roundup in just a moment. But first, our main story is the turmoil in Theresa May's top team after a series of high-profile ministerial resignations over her Brexit plan. Charlie is at a very blustery Westminster this morning.
Morning, Louise. Yes, from here in Brexit, I was going to say from here in Brexit, which is not what I meant to say. Westminster. It is an extraordinary 30 hours or so here. We've had those resignations. We have windy conditions here, and I've been working on my analogies this morning with the winds of change, which will be visible today when Theresa May pulls together her New Look cabinet. Jeremy Hunt, of course, taking over as Foreign Secretary. Dominic Raab, of course, will be the new Brexit Secretary. There have been those words from Boris Johnson, the letter he sent to Theresa May. Those quotes will be stinging. The dream of Brexit is dying, he said, suffocated by needless doubt. And then the response from Theresa May saying she was sorry and surprised at what he'd chosen to do. Alex Forsyth looks at the developments over the past 24 hours.
Are you running away from the big decisions again, Boris?
Leaving his official residence last night, the former Foreign Secretary. Boris Johnson's resignation caused turmoil in Westminster, the second cabinet member to quit over the government's Brexit policy in less than 24 hours. And giving his reasons why, he pulled no punches. In his letter to the Prime Minister, he said the Brexit dream is dying, suffocated by needless self-doubt. We appear to be heading for a semi-Brexit. Her response: if you're not able to provide the support we need, it is right you should step down. Theresa May defended her Brexit plan in the Commons yesterday, saying it would deliver on the referendum result but protect jobs and business.
In the 2 years since the referendum, we have had a spirited national debate.
But plenty in her own party are concerned, although some Brexiteers do seem supportive.
The Prime Minister has shown that she's determined that she's going to get us out of the EU, and at the same time she's going to meet the EU's own red lines, thereby ensuring they are going to have to take the negotiations seriously.
So it's out with the old, in with the new. Dominic Raab, a Leaver, is the new Brexit Secretary. Jeremy Hunt, who backed Remain, takes over as Foreign Secretary. Matthew Hancock takes his job as Health Secretary. And Jeremy Wright, the former Attorney General, is promoted to Culture Secretary. Today in Downing Street, the New Look cabinet will meet for the first time. Some might hope it'll prove more united. But for the Prime Minister, the fight to try to keep her party on side is far from over. Alex Forsyth, BBC News, Westminster.
Let's pick up on some of the thoughts. Layla Nathu is with us this morning. Layla, the first thing is Theresa May's position. As of last night, 6 p.m, people were asking, was something really dramatic going to happen? Where is she now?
Well, there's no doubt that she is in a hugely precarious position, but she has survived. She's survived the 24 hours that David Davis resigning, she's survived Boris Johnson resigning, she's survived a meeting of her backbenchers last night where there were no immediate moves to oust her. There was no moving against her last night. There is not the numbers as yet to force a vote of no confidence in her. So she remains in place. She remains committed to her Brexit strategy that she thinks she's going to still be able to push forward. But she is by no means out of trouble, because Brexiteers on her backbenches are furious at the strategy that the cabinet agreed to on Friday. They have been emboldened by the resignations of David Davis, by Boris Johnson, those words of Boris Johnson saying the Brexit dream is dying, and they are determined to force a change of policy. They say they're not interested in forcing a change of leader for the moment, but it remains to be seen what happens if they do not get their way and try to force the Prime Minister to change course.
And what about that plan, much talked about on Friday, at that point in time everyone agreed on? Where does that sit?
Well, Theresa May is clear. She was in the Commons yesterday presenting that plan as if nothing had happened, presenting it, selling it to MPs, selling it to Parliament. She now is confident that this is the only way forward. She says she has considered every possible Brexit plan. She thinks this is the right one. She thinks she's got her government on side. Two of her biggest critics now within the cabinet are no longer there. So perhaps she has a more united cabinet, a more supportive cabinet around her, able to rally around her, able to help her sell that policy to her party. But she has to get the support of her MPs. There are some more parliamentary battles coming in the next week or so where her backbenchers could try to tinker with the proposals again. And then don't forget that she has to put this plan to Brussels. We haven't even heard the immediate reaction of EU leaders in Brussels so far. So if there's any sort of suggestion that that plan is not to their liking, she could well be in trouble.
Lots to talk about, Leila. Thank you very much. Leila's going to be with us throughout the morning here. We'll be talking to guests as well. It has been an extraordinary time here at Westminster. For the moment, though, back to the studio with Louise.
As you say, Charlie, the winds of change. We'll be back with you shortly. In other news this morning, divers in northern Thailand have restarted a high-risk rescue operation to free the last 5 members of that group who've been trapped in a vast cave system since last month. 8 boys have been brought out of the caves over the past few days. Our Asia correspondent Nick Beak is at Chiang Rai Hospital for us this morning. Nick, what's the latest? Morning.
Morning to you, Louise. Yes, we've just heard from the man leading this operation, and his message was clear. We can do this. He confirmed that, yes, they're going to try and get out the 4 remaining boys and their coach today. The good news is that the water level in that cave complex has remained the same as when they embarked on this perilous mission. The first day's operation took 11 hours. The second day took 9 hours, and they hope to bring out the remaining boys today in an even shorter time. So everyone hoping that that's the case. We also heard from the medical teams here. They said that the first 8 boys to be brought to safety are well. We heard what their first words were when they were rescued. They said they were so pleased to see their families. They'd missed them. They were delighted to be out. They were also asked, the medical team here, what the boys had asked to eat. The answer was chocolate, but unfortunately there's no such luxury at the moment. It's more basic food. We also heard that the boys will be here for at least a week, so although they were invited to the World Cup final in Russia, if that was ever really a possibility, they will not be able to do that. But the doctors say they will be bringing in big TV screens so they can watch the match. Clearly they hope that this team will be reunited by then, the team back together once again.
Well, let's hope so. The eyes of the world are watching. Nick, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Donald Trump has nominated a former advisor to ex-President George W. Bush as his pick for the US Supreme Court. In a televised announcement, the president called Brett Kavanaugh one of the finest and sharpest legal minds of our time. The court's rulings influence many contentious issues in American politics, like abortion, the death penalty, voter rights and immigration policy. The introduction of extra services on 8 different railway lines has been delayed because of the chaos caused by timetable changes earlier this year. The chairman of Network Rail, Sir Peter Hendy, said the industry had scaled back its ambitions after what he called recent painful lessons. Tom Burridge reports.
Feel familiar? Train travel across Britain is all too often a crowded affair. So plans were in the pipeline for new timetables with many more trains from December. But this was the scene in May. Thousands of trains were cancelled or delayed when Northern and Govia Thameslink significantly changed their timetables, and passengers were left stranded.
Cancellations all the time, you're just waiting on the platform, probably for like 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden they just cancel it.
So now, timetable changes planned for much of the network in December have been postponed. In fact, all of these operators will make no change in December at all. Passengers in other places will see minor changes. The body which represents rail companies said reliability must come first. But in places like Leeds, there's already been criticism that passengers and local politicians haven't been consulted. Tom Burridge, BBC News.
Thousands of prisoners will be able to make telephone calls from their cells under plans announced by the government. The phones will be installed in 20 prisons. All calls from them will be recorded and they'll be limited to dialling pre-approved numbers. It's part of a drive to improve safety in jails across England and Wales and stem the trade in illicit mobiles. Hundreds of England fans are flying to Moscow this morning ahead of tomorrow's World Cup semi-final against Croatia. One Airlines had to provide larger planes en route to the Russian capital to meet the increased demand. Greg Mackenzie is at Heathrow Airport, where some people have lucky enough to have tickets. Morning.
Morning, Louise. So hundreds of fans all rushing to get to Russia. See what I did there? So the first flight out from here, Terminal 5 Heathrow, leaves at 8:45. And behind me are a load of fans. They've managed to get tickets. So, guys, you're going to be in Russia in 4 hours. I mean, how did you get your tickets? How much they cost?
The tickets were face value. We got them off the FIFA website. There was problems with the FIFA website this week. There was long queues, 3 hours at a time. Once you get through to the front of the queue and you're ready to purchase, the website was constantly going down. So it was met with issues, but we managed to get there in the end.
OK, and where are you staying in Russia? Have you got your hotel sorted in Moscow?
Red Square Hilton.
OK, and you were the lucky few then to get hold of tickets?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, and did you ever think we were going to get this far?
Always. It's got to be done, isn't it?
And quite an important game tomorrow. I mean, a tough game for England.
It should be a win, I think.
We're coasting.
Easy
win. Easy win tomorrow.
So give us a scoreline, what you're estimating.
1-0 England.
2-1. 2-1, definitely 2-1.
So
3-1 England, 3-1 England. 3-1. 3-1,
I'll go 3-1. All right, so lots of difference here. So in terms of tomorrow, are they going to bring it home on Sunday?
Well, goodness gracious me. I mean, that is just a small version of the noise that is going to be going on over the next 24 hours or so, I expect. Let's return right now to our top story, the fallout from yesterday's government resignations. There's so much to talk about. Charlie is in Westminster for us. Charlie.
Thanks very much, Louise. So let's just recap a little bit for you at this stage. As of this Tuesday morning, we have a new look cabinet. If you haven't already heard, Jeremy Hunt will be Foreign Secretary. Dominic Raab will be the new Brexit Secretary. So there's a very different complexion to way the cabinet will look. Of course, all that following those resignations. David Davis, followed by Boris Johnson, of course, and all those question marks about what would happen with Theresa May. Let's introduce two guests now. Katie Pryor, former Downing Street Director of Communications, also Will Walden, former Communications Director to Boris Johnson. Very good morning to both of you. So first, Katie, how do you see Theresa May's position this morning?
I think she's quite secure, actually, in her position. Now, sure, people at home will be saying, hold on a minute, we voted for Brexit 2 years ago, just get on with it. You're like cats fighting in a sack. So that won't go down very well. But in terms of when the Westminster bubble over there, she's chosen to get off the fence after many months. She's just chosen her Brexit position and her way forward. And she's got a cabinet together, and she's going to go ahead and do that. And I don't think this has been as damaging as some people may think.
And Boris Johnson, that resignation yesterday, seen as a hugely significant moment. Within this Westminster bubble, you referred to a lot of people saying, well, it almost had to happen. But nonetheless, he thought about it and then he jumped.
Yeah, there was just a little bit of me that thought, he's always said to me, if he can, he wants to fight from within. But I think the writing's been on the wall for a while. He's been the outlier in cabinet, he believes he needs to be able to deliver the Brexit that he campaigned for. And given what happened at Chequers, he made his objections clear on the Friday night. I think he thought about it over the weekend, and he decided if it wasn't now, it will be when it's watered down. So the principled thing to do was resign.
So, well, when you look at his words in that resignation letter, It's an acceptance, he says, this new plan that we're going to follow EU laws. The dream of Brexit is dying. Government has a song to sing. Trouble is that I practiced the words and they stick in my throat. Were you expecting it to be quite as stinging as that when he left?
With Boris, you know, look, when the Prime Minister appointed Boris, she knew what she's got. He's not a conventional politician, and he often says it as it is. And I think he has spent the last few months thinking that what he campaigned for and what he believes people that voted Brexit want was not being delivered. So in that sense, I'm not surprised.
And what about the future? We have these powerful voices now on the back benches. How much of a problem is that going to be?
It will always be a problem, but then this is an issue that's divided the Conservative Party for many, many years, and it's divided the country. It's become quite toxic in Parliament, actually. People won't be friends with each other anymore over the issue of Brexit. And this is the defining moment. Over the next few months, we will know whether or not Theresa May has chosen the right path, if she can get the backing of Parliament. I certainly think in the next few days, if she were to face a vote of no confidence, she would win it. And therefore, that should put that to bed, and we go into the autumn, hopefully getting a Brexit deal that's close to, you know, the solutions that people want as possible. But it's continually dividing the Conservative Party. It's dividing the Labour Party too, and I don't think it's over yet.
Well, can I ask you, a lot of people, there's divided thought, isn't there, about Boris Johnson? One is that, you know, what he cares about most is his own political future. Others say he genuinely wants to make a difference in politics. Can you give us any kind of insight as to whether you think his resignation is part of an ongoing plan? What will he do next?
I think he's probably a period where he doesn't say anything for a while would be good for him and good for everybody else. And I say that because there is always this hullabaloo around Boris. Katie will know that, she worked for him for a while as well. And it's always I want to, I'm going to be the leader. I'm going to be. It's all rubbish. This is a principled resignation. He could have wrecked his political career by backing Leave in 2016. The easy choice he could have made then was to simply accept the job offer from David Cameron behind the scenes, get on with it, and back Remain. He took a decision which at the time he thought was the right thing to do and a principled stance, but probably was the end of his career. And I think he's done the same. He hasn't done this, in my view, because he wants to be the next Prime Minister and next leader of the Tory party. He's done it because the fundamental direction of travel he sees as wrong. And rather than singing from that Theresa May song sheet, he can't do that, so he's done the principled thing and resigned.
Katie, people often get tired of what happens within the building behind us in terms of the mechanics, but we understand last night that Theresa May arrived here, she addressed the Commons first, and then she goes in to see her own MPs, 1922 committee. These are the people, effectively, who can decide whether or not a Prime Minister, a leader of a party, stays in place. But we're told it was a very bold performance, and MPs gave her a very warm reception.
When she's got it, when she's pushed against the wall, she's really, really gritty, and she's a determined politician. She's shown that. She took